and imagination. You know, the worst use of imagination is what we call stress. The best use of imagination is what we call creativity. So, but that cannot happen unless you are the witnessing awareness in which thoughts are coming and arising. So I don't encourage people to think positively because they get stressed about it. You know, they're trying so hard to think positive.
To think
They
positive,
get
right.
stressed. So a positive mind can be a stressed mind. What you have to learn is to quieten your mind. And a quiet mind is a healing mind. That's where yoga and meditation come in.
Yeah.
Because they quieten your mind.
Absolutely.
And when your mind is quiet, it starts to regulate itself. And when it regulates itself, your body regulates itself. That's what we call homeostasis, which is healing.
Right.
So obviously, as I said, being a yoga studio owner and a teacher for so many years, obviously I come into contact with tons of people who the first thing they say when they just look at me is, oh, I can't sit still. I can't quiet my mind. And of course, I tell them, well, we can work on it. But what would you say to those people who are coming to you?
Well, you can be rude and say, go be a victim. Or you can be helpful.
I can't do that.
Okay, so you can be helpful. You can tell them to sit quietly and close their eyes and do nothing only for 5 minutes. That's it. Okay, if they can accomplish that, then you say, okay, now let's do it for 6 minutes. If they can accomplish that, then take them to 10 minutes and now teach them a little breathing and a little reflection. You know, what am I grateful for? That's very good as a meditation start, because when you experience gratitude, you can't have hostility.
Yeah.
That's a start. Then you go further slowly. Take people one step at a time.
Got you. What would you? So I have a friend. We were having a talk about this particular topic where he's a cynic. He doesn't believe in the you can change your state. He doesn't believe in just by being grateful for certain things it can. And I said, why don't you believe in it? What is it that you don't believe about this? And I think he has related it to some type of airy.
And also he might have had a past experience sometimes too, which.
Right. And so I thought to myself, okay, there must be tons of people in this world who, for lack of a better word, are jaded. And they've had a bad experience. Somebody they love died. They've been good their whole life, but their mother got taken away from them at an early age. They now longer don't have faith. They don't believe in the universe giving you good things, and they certainly don't believe in God. And they don't want somebody telling them, oh, come on, just be positive and be grateful for what you have. How do you turn those people around, Dr. Chopra?
Okay, so first of all, recognize there's a difference between skeptics and cynics. So a skeptic says, show it to me, prove it to me, I will believe it when you show me the proof.
Right.
Okay, but right now, I don't believe. That's a skeptic. That's a very healthy attitude, by the way. That's how scientists are skeptics, philosophers are skeptics.
They're still open to learning.
So actually, he's more of a skeptic.
Yeah. But you're not believing till you have the proof. Now, a cynic has already closed their mind. They say, I don't believe it, period, even if you show me the proof. Now, for cynics, I say, okay, good luck, be happy, go your way. Okay, for skeptics, you can show them the literature. Just go on Google, type out scientific evidence for meditation, and you'll come up with thousands of scientific references that show what happens to your brain, to your nervous system, to your autonomic nervous system, to your inflammatory markers, to your biological responses, to what is called gene activity. We just published a paper in a Nature journal, which is a high-impact journal from England, where we showed that in 1 week retreat of meditation and yoga, people who practice that, genes that activate self-healing and self-regulation and homeostasis went up like 17% over baseline.
Amazing.
Genes that cause inflammation went down significantly. There's the proof, published by UCSD, Chopra Foundation, Scripps, Harvard, you name it. I mean, the most prestigious institutions of the world. Now, if I show you this and you say, I still don't believe it, then okay, go fishing.
Right. That's actually very well explained. That is very well explained, because I'm so interested in all of that stuff. My previous another life, it feels like, when I was studying to be a doctor, you know, and just really the fact that our mind, I like to look at it like a little computer. It's like a little pharmacy, right? You come over there and you give your little prescription, and it goes, oh, this is what you need, and it goes and gets the little bottle for you, and it gives you little chemicals, and you feel a certain way because of it. And that has always fascinated me. And it wasn't until really Tara, with her yoga, got me into yoga, what, a year ago now?
Yeah, and we've been together 12 years.
Wonderful.
And he finally just joined onto the yoga.
Wonderful. So let me tell you something. You know, when you feel good, when you have empathy, compassion, love, joy, peace of mind, equanimity, then your brain, and this is neuroendocrinologist speaking, your brain creates things like oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin, opiates, which also happen to be immunomodulators. Triggers the release of cortisol, which suppresses the immune system, and also adrenaline, which causes inflammation in the body. So you can see that just from moment to moment, how what's happening in your mind affects your brain chemistry, and what's happening in your brain chemistry affects your immune and endocrine system. This is called psychomodulation. Okay, so we have the science for it, and it's a very profound science. So when you talk about pills and pharmacies, the best pharmacy is inside your head. It makes immunomodulators, it makes antibodies, it makes anti-inflammatory compounds. This pharmacy, which is inside your head, knows how to make the right drug at the right time for the right target organ with no side effects, and all the instructions come in the packaging, and the packaging is you.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Everything we have is right here.
So I read one of your articles, actually, fascinating article about, well, two things. Number one, I had never heard about this from anybody else, but melatonin and its potential use in treating this COVID-19. Can we talk about that a little bit, please?
Yeah, we don't want to say anything that's controversial, or we could compromise ourselves in the scientific circles. So melatonin is a hormone produced by your pineal gland. And as far as we know, its main function is that when you go to sleep, when you get in a dark room, melatonin goes up, and it's correlated with the quality of your sleep. This is what we knew in the past. Now we also know that during meditation, melatonin goes up, and we also know that melatonin is an immune modulator. So is it a good thing? Of course it's a good thing. Can you overdo it? Of course you can overdo it. So I personally recommend that people stimulate their own melatonin through meditation and sleeping in a dark room. And if you have problems, you can take a homeopathic dose of melatonin, like, 0.1 milligram or something that triggers your own melatonin. And then in future, we'll see what it does to, people who have cancer, etc. But it will not be the solution. It will be one thing amongst many.
Right. Do you think
there's no one thing that is a solution for anything?
Right.
It's your entire life.
Everything coming together.
You sleep, your meditation, everything coming together.
Yeah.
Even there was another article that you wrote, right, about the yoga and meditation and how that can suppress the overactivity of the immune system.
Yeah, overreactivity of the immune system can cause inflammation, and that's what we call sympathetic overdrive. When you practice yoga, you do the opposite. You stimulate a nerve in the body called the vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve.
The vagus nerve is related to the English word vagabond. It goes everywhere in the body, and it actually counters the effect of the sympathetic nervous system. And vagus nerve is stimulated by pranayama, deep breathing, and yoga. And in fact, the yoga postures selectively simulate every branch of the vagus nerve to bring about self-regulation in every organ of the body. That's the science.
So this is what happened to me after we had our second child, Aryan, who's about 1.5 years now. I wasn't doing my yoga practice as much because I didn't have anyone watching the baby. So I was exercising, I was working out at the personal trainer, I was going to the gym, I was exercising, I was active 5 days a week. I went back to my yoga practice consistently.
Yeah.
I'm in the house and he looks at me and he's like, what's going on with you? You're so different. What changed? And I looked at him and I said, yoga. It didn't matter that I was active. I was still active, but yoga has a different effect on you because of that stimulation of the vagus nerve. It's a completely different experience.
How did we figure all this stuff out, Dr. Chopra? How did people know that certain postures would cause the stimulation of, I'm fascinated by all of that too. This goes back thousands of years, surely.
This is pretty recent. There are institutions in the United States, like the FDA and other institutions, that approved use of an electrical device to stimulate the vagus nerve for intractable epilepsy. It's the only condition for which vagal stimulation electrically is advised. So they put an electrical implant in the vagus nerve and they stimulate it with a handheld device like an iPhone or something. And it helps some people with epilepsy. But what they found was that people were getting better from other things like arthritis or hypertension or other inflammatory disorders like autoimmune illness. So they were confused what was happening. And it was discovered that the vagus nerve has bidirectional traffic. It travels from your brain, it influences every organ in the body, including the microbiome in your intestine, which incidentally also produces opiates and dopamine and all of that. And then it goes back, sending messages to the brain. At this point, scientists came up with what is called the polyvagal theory and found that when you practice yoga, when you practice deep breathing, and when you chant, when you chant or when you sing, you should know this, Jay. When you sing, you stimulate the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
And that just singing will stimulate the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
So now we know there's a scientific basis for why people feel better after they sing or they chant or take deep breath or do yoga. This is the scientific basis.
It's amazing.
I almost feel like we were a perfect design in some sense. Like, we, like you said, we have all of the chemicals and stuff inside of our bodies. If we just knew if we knew ourselves better, if we knew our minds and our bodies better, if we knew how to tap into ourselves to do that. Can I ask you a question? I don't know, do you still practice medicine? Are you still actively practice it? Or?
I am a professor at UCSD Medical School in the Department of Public Health.
Right.
And I have a group practice in California with about 5 or 6 physicians, but I mostly teach these days. And when there are patients who have complicated issues, then I consult with my physicians who are part of the group practice.
Got you. So my question really was going to go actually to medicine. There are many people who believe that these manufactured medicines, that we don't need them. We can heal ourselves through our body. And then of course there are other medicine has increased the longevity of our lives. So it's done so much good too. When you were practicing and then you found this now, what you're doing for the rest of your life, between those two, do you feel like you have all the answers now? You are so learned, you have so much knowledge. If you ever find yourself having a bad day, somebody's upset you, work hasn't gone right, there's too many emails, there's too many this, there's too much that. Is it immediate for you? Do you know how to immediately do it? Or do you have somebody that you need?
This is almost embarrassing. I don't experience stress, period. I don't know what it is. I hear from other people what stress is. I can see their biological responses, but I don't experience stress. I think it's the worst use of our imagination. So
Wow.
I don't go there at all. Now, of course, it's not true that I know everything. We are always learning. Knowledge is infinite, and you cannot. The more you know, the more you realize that you know less.
Well, you don't know.
So pharmaceuticals are very helpful in acute illness. If you have pneumonia, you better take the antibiotic. Meditation can come later, right?
Right, exactly.
If you break your leg, you need to see an orthopedic surgeon.
Exactly.
Right.
If you have appendicitis, you better take it out.
Take it
whatever.
out. Exactly.
So there's a role for pharmaceuticals in acute illness. But when we look at chronic illness, now this is a very important finding, only 5% of disease-related gene mutations are fully penetrant, which means they guarantee the disease. If somebody has a BRCA gene, for example, for breast cancer, they're going to get it. So they might as well do everything to prevent that, even a radical mastectomy like Angelina Jolie did. But that's 5% of all chronic illness. 95% of chronic illness is determined by lifestyle, which means sleep, stress management, exercise, movement, yoga, breathing, healthy emotions, a good diet, and happy relationships. And 95% of chronic illness is influenced just by that.
Let's talk about, let's say, for example, other emotions. Anger. Do you experience anger ever? Does anybody irritate you? Rude people? Do you ever get people who might say something to you that rubs you the wrong way? How do you deal with that?
No, not these days. Not these days. I experience anger or anxiety or resentment or grievances or guilt or shame or depression. But I do experience at times frustration that I wish people knew better. I wish they educated themselves. I wish they would be more self-aware, in which case they would have happier lives and healthier lives.
Right, because you understand that when you're going through an experience with someone that someone else might get irritated with, you understand that they have their own personal work to do. So you're not going to take it on because you're like, that's actually not my problem. So
that's
you
right.
just,
And also what other people think of you is not your business. What somebody thinks of me is none of my business. Their business.
Amazing.
Right?
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I think talking to you is I immediately feel so much more calm about just things because what you're saying is in essence common sense if you really think about it. But I think a lot of people don't like to think about common sense, or they like to question everything. The one thing I've always found is you say something and some people they want to prove themselves wrong all the time. They're like, no, but what if? That's easier for you to say. I feel like they're almost stopping themselves from healing before they've even given it a go.
Yeah, so, in a sense, everybody is doing the best they can from their level of awareness. And we're all on a journey. And, it's wherever you are is fine at the moment.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, listen, when I opened the yoga studio, we just encounter so many different types of people, and you realize you have to meet people where they are, and we give out goodness.
Yeah.
And we give them the opportunity to feel good and to feel light, right? And we share that, and then those who are ready for it will join. They'll meet where they are.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, before we finish, may I ask you something?
Of course.
I have, the Chopra Foundation right now is on creating a new campaign called Never Alone. Okay. And the website is neveralone.love, neveralone.love. And what we did was we looked at the world situation right now where there's extreme depression, where actually suicide has now become the second most common cause of death in millennials and teenagers. And the world is going through a lot of pain and suffering. So neveralone.love is part of a nonprofit that is connecting people all over the world. And we are asking people to get involved. I'd love for you and Tara to be involved and even share some of your music and some of your ideas. And actually, I would like to connect you with the directors of the Never Alone program. And I'd like your fans to also know about it. neveralone.love, nonprofit.
Beautiful.
Together, we can all tackle this problem and help create a more peaceful, just, sustainable, and joyful world. So I'd love for your help.
That would be
both you
our
and Tyler.
pleasure.
100%.
Thank you.
After I put this up, I'm going to put all the information out and also the congratulations on the Webby Award nomination. I'm going to make sure.
Oh, thank you.
Out there.
But I'm also going to connect you to the directors. One of them is an English actress, actually, who's now living in Los Angeles. And she's very involved in this work. And then the CEO who works with me, he's from India. I'll connect you both to both of them.
Thank you.
That would be our pleasure.
And please promote the neveralone.love campaign.
We will.
Easy.
Thank
you so much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Let's meet again after this is over. Huh?
Yes,
Thank you.
Yes, definitely.
God bless.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Stay well.
Bye-bye. You too. Thanks.